This will be the final video in this preliminary series of Psychologist. I will try to summarize and to conclude, to make a small closure, and to outline future paths on which I'm thinking in this integrational way of thinking. So, let's begin. Hi. So, Psychologist, psychology and integration. This is video number 25. I remember opening the first one with a quote from Lao Tzu: "The road of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." Many steps have been taken in these past 5 months. I see it as the first stretch of a very, very long way. And I feel that this is a time to look inside, take a short break, think, make things more accurate, more condensed, more aesthetic. So at the end of this conversation, I'll talk a little bit about the future paths on which I'm thinking. And today I will try to summarize a little bit and conclude the ideas I talked about in past conversations. So let's begin with our human condition. I believe that we are living in very hard and dark times. I believe that the suffering we are experiencing as individuals and as a collective, and the suffering we are causing the environments that contain us, the inanimate world, the living world, the ecosystem, and our societies and culture, is beyond measure, is beyond the potentiality of us containing it. I know that there are many theories today that are focusing on the progress in our technology and in some aspects of humanity's well-being, like Steven Pinker, in some ideas Jordan Peterson, and others. I respect them very much, but I believe that this is only a small part of the big picture. In the big picture, I see us in the middle of a catastrophe. We are not facing a catastrophe. It is happening now. It is very clear in the ecological realm. The way we are talking today about global warming is really a spin on the consciousness of humanity. The big problem is biodiversity and ecosystems. Everyone who loves nature knows that we are in the midst of the 6th mass extinction. And there's no doubt that it is man-made, and the outcomes of this process are completely unknown to us. We are in the middle of some untamed, absolutely insane experiment in which we are manipulating the environments, the natural environments that contain us. The same problematic situation exists in our psychology, in the psychosystems of us as individuals and as collectives. For the past 10,000 years, since the Neolithic Revolution, what I've called the appearance of the first Adon, our leaders are trying to control and manipulate the individual for their private benefit, gain, unmeasured mega fantasy. This process evolved like technology, but the evolution of our psychology fixated completely 10,000 years ago. It stopped in the moment that our egalitarian societies that evolved for millions of years changed. Now the main and the necessary goal of the leader, of the Adon, is to control the commoner, to control the masses. So our psyche is the battleground for 10,000 years. This control came first of all with brute force, with coercion, with power, demanding our submission. With that evolved different kinds of holy scriptures, of philosophies, taking us to crusades in the name of some divine or eternal truths. So in that aspect, we can see the individual being abandoned by his rulers. The basic needs of our psyche are standing in second place after the needs of our Adon, of our masters. With the appearance of the Enlightenment movement and the evolution of the psychological way of thinking, there was a great hope that this will change, but unfortunately it didn't. I must criticize the psychological discipline in this matter. There was a great promise with the psychological way of thinking. Freud's early writings like Civilization and Its Discontent, Group Psychology, The Future of an Illusion, Totem and Taboo, Moses and Monotheism are colossal works regarding the collective and the individual, the tension between them, and potentialities. They were all psychintegrational ways of thinking. There are just so few theorists after him taking on this way of thinking. In large, psychology cooperated with the ruling establishment in maintaining its power. And in doing so, unfortunately, I think it abandoned the individual. I see this mainly in two fields. The first is the research regarding advertisement. There is an evolution here from advertisements aimed at our emotions and not our intellect up to today's spin doctors and the awful reality of fake news, addressed openly by our leaders. This is aimed at a psychological deep spin, I will not say the F word, that is aimed at creating an unstable ground for our psyche and our thought. This makes us helpless, more dependent, less rational, and is changing the world we are living. So we are abandoned by our leaders and they are being assisted by psychology. The second one is the field of personal psychology, dynamic psychology and cognitive behavioral psychology that unfortunately are seeing the symptom as a closed unit in the environment that contain it. And I believe this is a dire mistake. We are in interdependence today with the environments that contain us, the inanimate world, the living world, society and culture. And every process of introspection brings with it insights and must lead to action. Some of the action is in the intrapsychic individual realm, but some must happen in the objective reality, in our society's culture and world. And this must be a part of every psychological process, be it a private one or a psychotherapeutic one. So I tried to address these concepts in past conversations. What I'm seeing in the world today is a very emotional debate between two fields fighting one another, the liberals and the conservatives, the left and the right, the secular and the religious. And there is a discourse, a war actually, a struggle between these two realms, and they become more and more extreme these days. I believe that the necessary human psychological evolution, the leap that is needed today, will not come out of this dialectic. It will be a transformation and a novel appearance. The same way we see this evolution happening in individual psychotherapy and in our own psychological developments. We have insights and suddenly the context of the world is indifferent to us and unimaginable possibilities are ripe for the picking for our individual evolution. This can happen like this every moment, and I believe this can happen to society and to culture. I gave a few examples in past videos. In this sense, I can use a metaphor and compare humanity's psychological development to an adolescent. We are very concentrated in ourselves, and we believe, especially our leaders, that we are very, very unique, that we are different from everyone else. We are inventing identities. We borrow identities like masks, like facades, and we believe very strongly that they are true, that they are objective. When in fact our behavior is, without a doubt, suicidal. We are cutting the branch on which we are standing or sitting. Actually, we've almost already cut it. It's more than half cut. And we continue on doing it. We are behaving insanely. What we need to do is to grow up. This is a psychological leap, a complete change in the way we understand our place in the world, the context of our life, our responsibility, and the codependence we have with our environments. from the psychological way of thinking, this developmental process requires an interpretation, an understanding, a place where this is articulated and understood and thought by us as a collective. This must be done by a common text. It can be one manifest, it can be a shelf of a few books. We must agree on a basic idea. And our history teaches us that this manifest, this idea, must have some ethical guidelines, some society and cultural ideas that combine us together, some kind of an egalitarian and individual tension that is held and contained by some kind of a global social and cultural organization. The solution must be global. Now, I have no idea what is the content and the shape of this manifest or of this bookshelf. I do understand that the arrowhead of our great minds must be at understanding, inventing, and evolving this process. In my eyes, the war, the conflict that is going on today is very important, but in the long term is futile. This will not bring the psychological evolution needed. The truth is in neither side. I believe that socialism failed and capitalism failed on the same problems we have in our human psychology. Mega fantasy and the usage of the masses is the same in capitalism and in socialism. Humanism, with all due respect, didn't pay enough importance to the collective way of thinking, to the egalitarian need, to social bondage, to ethics, and to common ground that is, and ceremoniality and myth and epos that is needed in our human psyche. We must find a global story that binds us together and helps us to take decisions together that are beneficial to our global existence and the environments that contain us. And this is an evolutionary leap, an evolutionary transformation that is essential in the crossroad we are standing in. So these are my thoughts in the past videos. I was looking for ways to be more communicative, more accurate, more crystallized, and I'll continue on doing so. Now, this medium of short videos is very beneficial for me. First of all, I succeeded in making them, in conveying some of the ideas I'm developing for the past 20 years, putting them in the air, filming, editing, all that. The second amazing development is the people I've met, some of you watching. We've conversated in YouTube, in Facebook, in the internet, and in emails and in other places. And really, I learned so much, and I continue on doing so, and I, of course, intend on continue on doing that. But I feel that the content I am creating must go through some evolution. I'm not sure exactly what it is. So I need to put my energy inside, cocoon for a while, be able to think, to process, and then come back with a small transformation. Maybe with a website, maybe with a podcast, maybe with a different format of this integration videos. Hopefully I'll succeed in writing some of these ideas in a more comprehensive way. I'm thinking of a website for the manifest of humanity and many other directions. So I believe the next link in this chain will become apparent very soon, will mature in me, in you, like thoughts seeking a thinker. They are ripe for the picking right now. We just need to envision them, to see them, and to think them. I'll make sure to update and share in social media, in the net. Please do the same. And we'll conclude and end here today, this preliminary journey of Psyintegration. Thank you very, very much for being a part of this. Hopefully we'll meet very soon. Bye-bye.